Wang Zhua. Wang Lin's eyes became serious as he charged over like lightning. Although Wang Zhua's appearance was that of an old man, Wang Lin was still able to recognize him at a glance. Wang Zhua's heart was filled with sorrow. Along the way, more than half of their group of a dozen had died. He had gone through these kinds of battles almost every day, and he felt the shadow of death getting darker and darker. The surrounding countries had all lost. They were either destroyed or became vassals of the Forsaken Immortal clan. Rank 3 cultivation countries weren't the main battleground for the Forsaken Immortal clan. They were merely places for them to train their weaker clan members. The country of Suzaku didn't care too much about rank 3 cultivation countries. At first they only sent some early-stage soul formation cultivators over, but as the war raged on, they pulled out all their messengers and completely gave up on the rank 3 cultivation countries. In the eyes of the country of Suzaku, nascent soul cultivators were simply too weak. Wang Lin let out a bitter smile as he watched another fellow sect member die. He watched the 4 Forsaken Immortal clan members who clearly had the power of late-stage core formation cultivators not kill them but instead chase them around. Just at this moment, a meteor raced across from the sky, giving off a terrifying aura. The 4 Forsaken Immortal clan members were shocked and immediately looked over. In almost an instant, the meteor disappeared and someone with long white hair arrived from the distance with only a few steps. The 4 Forsaken Immortal clan members' expressions changed. The 4 of them realized that this man with white hair gave off an aura that made them tremble. They only ever felt this kind of aura from the 7-leaf shamans in their clan. Soul transformation. One of the 4 Forsaken clan members trembled and exclaimed. Without any hesitation, he turned around and ran. The other 3 quickly followed him. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he slapped his bag of holding to let the mosquito beast out. The mosquito didn't even wait for an order before charging out after the 4. Screams could be heard from the distance as the 4 of them became dinner for the mosquito. All of this happened too fast, so fast that Wang Zhua and company were completely dumbfounded. Wang Lin turned around toward Wang Zhua and smiled. Wang Zhua, do you recognize me? Senior, it's you. Wang Zhua was startled and immediately recognized Wang Lin as the person who had reached the soul formation stage at Hengyu Mountain. Wang Lin shook his head and said, "We haven't met for many years and you have already reached the late stage of core formation. That is worthy of celebration. Forget it. I'll help you break through to the nascent soul stage." With that, Wang Lin pointed to the spot between Wang Zhua's eyebrows. The seal in Wang Zhua's mind was removed as all the memories of his past life flooded into him, causing him to pass out. Wang Lin blandly looked at Wang Zhua's fellow sect members. All of them but one were at the early stage of core formation while the last person was at the mid-stage. That person also had one of the spirit seeds Wang Lin had left behind. Wang Lin asked, "Where are you guys going?" The person who had the spirit seed was an old man. His body trembled as Wang Lin looked at him and he said, "About 10 of us juniors were sent to the country of Lin to help them. However, they lost to the Forsaken Immortal clan, so we are killing our way back to Zhao." Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding. A jade flew out and he injected a bit of his domain inside it. He threw the jade to the old man and said, "Take this jade. Can keep you guys safe until you reach Zhao. Go." The old man held the jade like a treasure and bowed many times toward Wang Lin. To him this jade was his life. Wang Lin waved his right hand to grab Wang Zhua, and then they disappeared. The old man took a deep breath and then bowed deeply toward where Wang Lin had disappeared to. This bow was in good faith without any other thoughts. A middle-aged burly man on the side carefully asked, "Martial uncle, who is that senior?" The old man's eyes were filled with reminiscence as he said, "He is my country of Zhao's only soul formation cultivator." Soul formation cultivator? He is someone from Zhao? The middle-aged man took a deep breath. You should have heard of his name before." The old man flew away and the other members of his sect quickly followed. Wang Lin. His name is Wang Lin. The moment the words Wang Lin came out, everyone else, including the burly man, trembled and their eyes became filled with terror. In the cultivation world of Zhao, the name Wang Lin represented heaven-piercing killing intent and a world-ending catastrophe. On that day, blood flowed like a river and the land of Zhao was dyed red from blood. No one could forget that day. Even to this day, the calamity the Tang family faced was still passed down in Zhao's cultivation world. It forever remained in people's hearts and became the goal of many young cultivators. On the top of a mountain, Wang was slowly awakened. His eyes were filled with confusion at first, but it slowly disappeared. Then he calmly looked at the white figure standing beside him. Wang Lin. A bitter voice came from Wang Zhua. Wang Zhua. Wang Lin turned around and smiled. Wang Zhua stared at Wang Lin as memories of the past rushed into his head until the moment where his wife died by his hand. Then he let out a sigh. Thank you. Wang Lin shook his head and said, only you and I are left from the old Wang clan. There is no need to thank me. Wang Zhua hesitated a bit then asked, what cultivation level are you at? Could you have reached the soul transformation stage? I haven't reached the soul transformation stage just yet. Wang Lin looked into the distance. Time passed by so quickly. I still remember us at the Hengyu sect, alas. Wang Zhua sighed. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he asked, Wang Zhua, what happened on planet Suzaku in the last several years? How did the Forsaken Immortal clan appear here? Wang Zhua was startled and asked, you don't know? Wang Lin shook his head. I wasn't on planet Suzaku for the last 7 years. Wang Zhua's heart shook. Although Wang Lin had casually said it, it sounded insane to him. Not on planet Suzaku. That meant that Wang Lin's cultivation could break through the atmosphere. Wang Zhua took a deep breath and told Wang Lin everything he knew. Wang Lin's expression remained calm, but his heart was in turmoil. The Forsaken Immortal clan had invaded, and almost all rank 3 cultivation countries had fallen. Rank 4 cultivation countries weren't safe either. The country of Suzaku was resisting in full force, but they were still being pushed back. The Corpse sect was helping the Forsaken Immortal clan in full force, and 5 rank 4 cultivation countries had betrayed Suzaku. The Forsaken Immortal clan had already occupied half of planet Suzaku. Wang Zhua said, rumor has it that the Forsaken Immortal clan sent out 9 people and 5 of their identities have already been exposed. There are still 4 left, but no one knows who they are. They must be at a rank 5 or higher cultivation countries and probably hold very high positions. Wang Lin pondered. He never thought that in just a few short years such a big change would occur. Soul Refining Sect. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He had to quickly return to the Soul Refining Sect to see if there were any changes there. Wang Zhua's information was mostly rumors and not facts, so he didn't know anything about the Soul Refining Sect. Wang Zhua pondered a bit and slowly asked, Wang Lin, can you go back to Zhao and save it from danger? Also, our Wang family still has descendants living in Zhao. In these past several years, I have been secretly taking care of them. I was hoping that mortals wouldn't get mixed up in the war. But while I was away, I heard that the Forsaken Immortal clan was looking for mortals with spirit roots. I'm worried that the Wang family might have a child with a spirit root who will catch the Immortal Forsaken clan's attention. Sadly, I haven't been home in many years, so I don't know if there is anyone like that in the family. Planet Suzaku, country of Zhao, a rainy night. A horse carriage was galloping away outside the capital of Zhao. A bold, burly man sat at the front of the carriage and snapped his whip. Yeah. He looked very anxious and kept looking behind him. As the horses felt pain from the whip, they let out neighs and ran even faster. Mother, where are we going? The tender voice of a child came from inside the carriage. Mother will take you to our ancestral home. Only there will you be safe. A gentle and enchanting voice answered the child from inside the carriage. This voice also contained a hint of anxiety. The child named Yu continued to say, Mother, I was studying with the 3rd prince yesterday and he told me that Zhao is very dangerous right now. Seems like someone is fighting with those immortals. Mother, is it like that? Yu take a rest. Don't ask so many questions. A man's deep voice came from inside the carriage. There were 3 people inside the carriage. A couple and their child. The woman was wearing a court dress. She was very beautiful and the beauty spot at the corner of her mouth gave her even more charm. The man's robe was made of python skin. He gave off an oppressing aura without even being angry. He had been in a high position for a very long time, so he gained a certain aura. As for the child, she looked to be around 6 or 7 years old. Her cheeks were slightly pink, and her skin was very white. She was very cute. The inside of the carriage suddenly became very quiet. The only sound that could be heard was the driver shouting and the sound of the rain. Yu obediently nodded. She felt tired, so she slowly fell asleep in the woman's arms. "My lord, you heir." The woman's eyes turned red and couldn't continue. The man let out a sigh and slowly said, "All of the immortals in the capital have returned to their sects to prepare for battle. The invaders are very powerful, and as far as I know, the immortals of Zhao were defeated and have gathered in one place." The woman wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and whispered, "Why are those people looking everywhere for children?" The man took a deep breath and bitterly smiled. "Last night, I secretly talked with the king and found that they are looking for children with the qualifications to become immortals. I'm afraid that they have something big planned. Alas, if only great-grandfather was here, everything would be better." The woman's eyes lit up as she said, "Great-grandfather is an odd person. Even the other immortals in the capital have to be respectful to him. Sadly, we can't find him. I'm afraid great-grandfather doesn't have time to bother with us. His sect has probably been attacked by those invaders too. Now the only hope left is the ancestral home." The man sighed as his gaze fell on the child. Inside the capital, 3 children had already been taken away by the invaders. Whether they were alive or dead was uncertain. Yu-Er was the 4th, and this man had done everything he could to save his child. The woman looked at the sleeping child and whispered, "My lord, what is so special about the ancestral home?" The man pondered for a bit before shaking his head and saying, "I don't know what is so special about it. Only that an immortal ancestor once left a message saying that if my Wang family faces great calamity, come to the ancestral home and smear the family blood on something. I was told that doing so could save our lives." The woman was startled. She had been married to him for many years but had never heard of this. It was said that, before my Wang family entered the capital, an immortal countless times more powerful than great-grandfather appeared. No one could stop him. The ancestral home has something he left behind. The man's eyes lit up. Even stronger than great-grandfather. The woman's eyes were filled with disbelief as she asked, "Is that immortal ancestor still alive?" The man pondered a bit and uncertainly said, "Great-grandfather has lived for over 200 years. The immortal ancestor should be able to live even longer, so he should still be alive." The woman's eyes lit up and she quickly said, "If that immortal ancestor can help us, then Yu-Er will be safe." The man shook his head and bitterly smiled. "It is only a rumor. No one knows whether it is true or false. However," the man pondered. The woman quickly asked, "What is it?" "The records of my Wang family state that 200 years ago, there was a powerful family that existed in both the mortal and the immortal worlds of Zhao. That family was named Tung. The Tung family was so powerful that all the immortals had to take orders from them, and the kings of the mortal world had to bow to them. The Tung family was the mortal enemy of my Wang family." The man's voice echoed in the carriage. Then overnight, the Tung family was wiped out. All of their family members were killed. It is rumored that the person that wiped them out was that immortal ancestor. The carriage moved very quickly and 3 days later they arrived at a manor. This manor was not very large. 200 years ago, it was still part of a village before it was bought by the Wang family. It still remained the same as 200 years ago. After the carriage stopped, the bald, burly man jumped off the carriage with a tired expression. He opened the door and respectfully said, "My lord, we have arrived." The man got off the carriage and looked at the manor with a hint of reminiscence in his eyes. "During my childhood, I lived here for 1 year with my father. In the blink of an eye, 30 years have passed, but this place hasn't changed at all." The woman followed him off the carriage. Yu-Er had her big eyes opened as he looked at the manor. "Follow me," the man said with a deep tone and walked forward. There weren't any servants in the manor, only some elderly people. These elders were the most devoted followers of the Wang family. Although they were all white-haired, their eyes were still filled with life. One look from them could cause anyone's heart to tremble. That bald man felt terrified when he saw these elderly people. He felt like any one of them could defeat him in one move. His eyes suddenly locked onto one of the old men. After recognizing the item in his hand, he was startled and immediately recognized who the old man was. This old man was the #1 expert in the martial arts world. The man didn't say a word as he walked deep into the manor. Deep inside was a very normal-looking house. Yu-Er curiously asked, "Dad, is this our ancestral home?" The man nodded. He was about to speak when a thunderous roar came from the distance. Then two men with tattoos covering parts of their bodies suddenly appeared above the manor. One of them gloomily looked at the people below him and said, "You guys sure ran fast." The man's expression quickly changed. He quickly got in front of his wife and bitterly said, "Honored immortals, your battles are with the other immortals. Why make it so difficult for us mortals?" The surrounding elders stared at the two in the air with eyes like lightning. The one with the gloomy expression coldly looked at the man and reached out. His goal today was the child with the spirit root. Just at this moment, all the surrounding elders let out roars and blocked the man. However, their bodies weren't able to resist, so they all coughed out blood and then were thrown to the side. The man's expression greatly changed. He quickly grabbed his wife and child and dragged them into the ancestral home. After entering the ancestral home, cold sweat covered the man's forehead. His eyes were bloodshot as he quickly pressed a series of tablets, causing a secret compartment to open. He immediately bit his finger and used blood to draw a symbol in the secret compartment. This symbol was something every generation's family head had to carve into their mind when they become the family head. Just at this moment, with a bang, the wall of the ancestral home turned to dust as the gloomy-looking person walked in. The woman got in front of her child with a look of despair on her face. At this moment, the place where the man had drawn the symbol released a mysterious light, and a piece of jade floated out from the secret compartment. A mysterious power quickly surrounded the area. The gloomy-looking person's expression suddenly changed. He revealed a look of disbelief and quickly backed away. His buddy in the air also noticed the mysterious power and was about to go investigate. But just at this moment, the piece of jade flashed. The gloomy-looking person let out a miserable scream as the vein on his forehead bulged and he quickly backed away. Terror filled his eyes. He could feel a destructive aura coming from the jade. This aura was something even his clan's four-leaf members couldn't resist. But once the jade was activated, the gloomy-looking person had no chance of survival with his cultivation level. The jade flashed once and the gloomy-looking person coughed out blood as he was pushed out of the ancestral home. He fell to the ground and immediately died. His buddy, who was about to go investigate, suddenly stopped and immediately turned around to escape. He could feel an aura that he stood no chance against coming from inside the house. However, before he got far, the jade flashed once more. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood and fell from the sky dead. This strange scene caused the three inside the ancestral home to be completely shocked. The man muttered to himself, "The rumors are true." The jade Wang Lin had left here contained a tiny piece of his G realm. With his cultivation back then, any nascent soul cultivator would immediately die before it. Right now, at the bottom of the Hengyu mountain outside the Tiandao sect, most of Zhao's cultivators were gathered. Their faces were filled with anger as they stared into the distance. They were all staring at a lone person floating in the air. A large portion of this person's body was covered in tattoos. Just by standing there, he emitted a powerful aura. A husky voice came from that person. "This cultivation country is indeed interesting. Do you guys think there is some treasure here that will allow you to reverse the situation?" A white-haired old man wearing a black robe walked out from the Tiandao sect. He stared at the forsaken immortal clan member with hatred in his eyes and said, "You can try." The person let out a laugh as his eyes lit up and his aura revealed its true strength. His tattoos moved until they eventually left his body and formed dragons that flew around him. "Interesting. I wasn't sent here to deal with you lowly cultivators, I was just passing by. However, since you asked, I now want to see what kind of treasure makes you guys so confident." His eyes revealed a look of disdain. As a six-leaf shaman, unless he meets a late-stage soul formation cultivator, no one else is a threat to him. He didn't believe that a late-stage soul formation cultivator would exist in a mere rank 3 cultivation country. With one step, he closed in on the Tiandao sect. The dragons around him all let out roars and flew toward the Tiandao sect. The tattooed dragons moved like lightning. All of the remaining cultivators of Zhao held their breaths as they looked on, and their eyes all revealed a mysterious light. There was a rumor that a native Zhao cultivator reached the soul formation stage here 200 years ago. The rumor said that he had left behind a wood carving, and anyone who obtains it can become his direct disciple. The place that the wood carving was kept was surrounded by a piece of his divine sense. If there was no fated person, it wouldn't open up. But if Zhao was facing great calamity, this carving would release a huge power. The moment the dragons closed in, the entire Hengyu mountain shook as a wood carving flew into the sky. The moment the wood carving appeared, the dragons charging forth trembled, and the eyes of the man from the Forsaken Immortal clan revealed a mysterious light. So there is a treasure with a hint of a domain in it, left behind by a soul formation cultivator. However, this soul formation cultivator's cultivation level is too low, only at the early stage of soul formation. Even if he personally comes, I can still kill him right here, so how could a treasure stop me? After the old man from the Forsaken Immortal clan finished speaking, the mysterious light in his eyes disappeared, and they once more filled with disdain. As he spoke, he pointed at the carving with his right hand. The tattoo dragons charged toward the wood carving, creating sonic booms. The cultivators of Zhao that had gathered here all looked toward the wood carving. The carving was a symbol of hope and was extremely respected in Zhao. The carving gently trembled and shined brightly. Then a ring of light extended from it and collided with the tattoo dragons. Boom! Boom! With a series of bangs, the tattoos that formed the dragons became unstable and weakened. Eventually, a majority of the tattoo dragons shattered and disappeared. The remaining tattoo dragons all became smaller by one size. The cultivators of Zhao all became excited when they saw this. What's this? This carving is indeed interesting. It would be a waste to destroy it. The Forsaken Immortal clan member's eyes lit up as he waved his hand and several ancient-looking tattoos appeared. These tattoos circled around him as he took a step and walked forward. The wood carving lit up once more. The ring of light expanded and touched the tattoos around the Forsaken Immortal clan member. The ring of light trembled violently, but it wasn't able to resist and in the end dissipated. With one step, the Forsaken Immortal clan member arrived at the top of Hengyu Mountain. He reached out and was about to grab the wood carving. But the light from the wood carving suddenly became so blinding that it lit up the whole area. But the disdain in the Forsaken Immortal clan member's eyes was still there. He reached out and pressed down on the wood carving. Even if your owner personally comes, I'll still take it when I want to. The man picked up the wood carving, took a look at it and smiled. This is indeed a treasure. If there is a chance in the future, I want to see the junior that left this carving. The entire Hengyu Mountain became silent. All of the cultivators silently pondered. Their symbol of hope was so easily taken. It seemed like the destruction of Zhao was inevitable. The disdain in the Forsaken Immortal clan old man's eyes became even stronger as he slowly said, "Looking on the fact that I got this treasure, I won't be too hard on you guys. Give up and become a subservient of my Forsaken Immortal clan. I can promise you that it is much better than being under the country of Suzaku. My wood carving is not something you can take." A calm voice came from the void, and shortly after, two figures appeared. The Forsaken Immortal clan old man suddenly turned around and looked behind him with a terrified expression on his face. What terrified him was that someone was able to sneak up on him without him noticing. The two people that appeared from the void were Wang Lin and Wang Zhua. The moment the two of them appeared, some of the cultivators of Zhao recognized Wang Lin. "Ancestor! Ancestor!" One shout of excitement after another came from the cultivators below. Soon, these shouts seemed to be the only sound left in the world. "Ancestor!" Wang Lin let out a faint smile and nodded. The shouting became even louder. The Forsaken Immortal clan old man's expression was very ugly. The disdain in his eyes had long disappeared and was replaced with deep sense of dread. "Sir!" He opened his mouth to speak but was immediately cut off by Wang Lin. "Hand back my wood carving." Although Wang Lin's tone was bland, it contained a powerful aura. The Forsaken Immortal clan old man's expression was gloomy. At a glance, this person looked like he was at the peak of the late stage of soul formation. However, upon closer inspection, he could feel a mysterious power inside this person. He had heard of this power from seniors in the clan. This power was the sign of a soul transformation cultivator. After pondering a bit, he threw the wood carving toward Wang Lin without any hesitation. The moment Wang Lin raised his hand to catch the wood carving, the old man shouted, "Tattoos explode!" In the blink of an eye, a large amount of tattoos came from the wood carving and exploded, creating a powerful force. Wang Lin remained calm and pointed at the explosion with his right hand. The explosion was surrounded by a mysterious force and compressed into a small ball. The ball was filled with smoke and contained the explosive power of all those tattoos. The Forsaken Immortal Clan old man's expression changed greatly. He never would have thought that his attack would be so easily blocked by Wang Lin. Soul transformation. He bitterly muttered to himself before turning around without any hesitation to escape. He knew that he stood no chance against a soul transformation cultivator. Unlucky. I can't believe a rank 3 cultivation country's ancestor is a soul transformation old monster. How did I get so unlucky to run into someone like this? The Forsaken Immortal Clan old man's heart felt bitter. Just as he was about to leave, the sky darkened. A loud tearing sound could be heard and a huge spatial rift appeared to block his escape. This old man stopped in terror. Did I let you leave? Wang Lin coldly looked at the person before placing a new divine sense into the wood carving. He threw the wood carving and it sank back into Hengyu Mountain. The old man's expression was gloomy as he slowly said, "Sir, according to the agreement, the country of Suzaku gave up all rank 3 cultivation countries for us to delay our attack on rank 4 cultivation countries. Do you want to break that agreement?" Wang Lin frowned and asked, "Who made the agreement with you?" "Zhukazi." The old man was startled. He glanced at Wang Lin and said, "Since Sir is a soul formation cultivator, you must know Qian Feng. It was him who represented Zhukazi and signed the agreement with our young master." Qian Feng. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. He had heard this name twice, once from Lu Mei and the second time was now. Wang Lin coldly said, "Ridiculous." He raised his right hand and pointed at the ball that contained the power of the explosion. The ball turned into a shadow as it flew toward the Forsaken Immortal Clan old man. The old man's expression changed greatly as he pointed at his brow. A green light shined from his forehead. A giant plant with 6 leaves grew from the light and collided with the ball. Boom! The old man was forced back and coughed out blood. Not only did the plant coming out of his forehead not get injured, it shined even brighter. However, he didn't want to fight. As he backed up, he took out a purple stick. He used the stick to create ripples in the space before him, and he was about to charge into a ripple. The purple stick he used was a branch from the reincarnation tree. The Forsaken Immortal Clan has a special method to use branches of the reincarnation tree to teleport back to the main reincarnation tree. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He calmly raised his right hand and said, "Absorb." With the old man as the center, all of the clouds in the area gathered to form a ring, and it quickly shrank until it was only 30 feet wide. The old man's face was filled with terror. The ripple that contained the power to teleport him lost its effect and collapsed. A powerful pressure came from all sides and landed on his body in the blink of an eye. He felt despair that he had never felt before. The panic in his eyes deepened as his hand formed a strange sign over his chest. He pressed down over his chest and clawed 10 bloody streaks. A large amount of blood sprayed out and then the plant on his forehead absorbed the blood like crazy. The planet grew rapidly and filled the entire ring. The old man's face was fierce as he shouted, "If you kill me, there will be a lingering tattoo curse on you. If my clan's ancestors see it, they will kill you." The vein on his forehead was bulging. Although his life plant was already out, it was still unable to resist the pressure coming from the ring. Waves of cracking sounds could be heard as the 30-foot wide ring shrank to 10 feet wide. The branches from the plant shattered one by one. Every time a branch shattered, the old man coughed out blood and his face became a bit paler. Wang Lin was still calm and he even smiled. "I have already killed quite a few Forsaken Immortal Clan members. Is this the tattoo curse that you speak of?" Wang Lin pointed at his chest and 5 balls of gray gas appeared. These 5 balls of gas formed 5 flashing tattoos. When he was attempting to reach the soul transformation stage, he felt these 5 masses of gray gas hidden in his body. They normally wouldn't do any harm. In fact, they helped his spiritual energy move more smoothly. That old man stared at the 5 balls of gray gas and his face turned pale. He could feel the aura of a 6-leaf shaman from the 5 balls of gray gas. The person who cast the curse was definitely killed by this person. Wang Lin calmly glanced at the old man as his right hand reached out and closed. The ring quickly shrank and the old man let out a series of miserable groans. The plant with 6 leaves was crushed and as the ring shrank, the old man was crushed into a ball of flesh and blood. The ring disappeared and the ball of flesh and blood turned into a cloud of bloody mist. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, killing this person was as easy as blowing off dust. He didn't even need to use magic treasures. After all, his domain was different from other soul formation cultivators, and it already contained some celestial spiritual energy. The current him was half a step into the soul transformation stage. The moment he obtains enough celestial jades, he will reach the soul transformation stage. However, there were simply too few celestial jades. Wang Lin looked at where the Forsaken Immortal clan old man died and began to ponder. Zhu Kz wouldn't make a deal with the Forsaken Immortal clan. This is strange. There is also Qian Feng. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. All of the cultivators in the Tiandao sect were very excited. They all looked at Wang Lin with respect. The white-haired old man walked out from the crowd. He bowed toward Wang Lin and respectfully said, "Junior Zhen Fengxiao of the Tiandao sect greets ancestor." "Greeting ancestor." The moment the old man finished speaking, all the other cultivators also greeted Wang Lin. This sound was very loud and spread very far. Wang Lin shook his head and said, "I'm not your ancestor." The old man took a deep breath and respectfully said, "You became the ancestor of all cultivators in Zhao when you reached the soul formation stage 200 years ago in the Tiandao sect. I hope ancestor won't reject the title." Wang Lin let out a sigh and looked at the land of Zhao. This was where he grew up. Now that more than 500 years had passed, he still recalled the past. Sometimes it felt like the last 500 years were just a dream. "Lord Ancestor, if you aren't in a rush, please stay at the Tiandao sect for a few days so that the juniors can pay their respects." The old man's eyes were filled with fanaticism and respect. Wang Lin pondered a bit. At this moment, Wang Zhuo sighed and said, "Wang Lin, stay in Zhao for a few days. Don't you want to see fourth uncle's descendants?" The old man looked at Wang Zhuo with a startled expression. Wang Zhuo was one of the most talented disciples of the Tiandao sect, so he naturally knew who he was, but what he had just said was a bit weird. The old man took a closer look and found that something was wrong. Although Wang Zhuo looked exactly the same, his eyes were no longer the eyes of Wang Zhuo of the Tiandao sect. They now displayed the passage of time. Wang Zhuo smiled at the old man and sent him a message using voice transmission. The old man's body trembled after hearing it, and he looked at Wang Lin with disbelief. He knew that this wasn't a lie, so he let out a bitter smile and respectfully said, "Greetings, ancestor. Zheng Fengxiao, you were a disciple I personally brought to the Tiandao sect. Back then you were still a young man, yet in a blink of an eye, so many years have passed." Wang Zhuo let out a sigh. Zheng Fengxiao bitterly nodded. He was still trying to comprehend what he had just heard. Wang Lin stayed at the Tiandao sect. Aside from a few people from each sect, all of the remaining cultivators of Zhao returned to their own sects. In the Tiandao sect, Wang Lin gave a lecture on Dao to all the core formation cultivators. This left a mark of Dao on them that drastically increased their chances of reaching the nascent soul stage. He did the same for the few nascent soul cultivators. He held nothing back as he told them about his experiences when reaching the soul formation stage. From that day on, they were no longer confused and had a clear path. 3 days later, Wang Lin and Wang Zhuo left the Tiandao sect. Before Wang Lin left, he placed down a formation for the Tiandao sect. It would keep out all soul formation cultivators. Only soul transformation cultivators could break it. For a rank 3 cultivation country to have a formation like this was unprecedented. Normally, only a rank 5 cultivation country would have such a powerful sect protection formation. After doing this one last thing for Zhao, Wang Lin no longer had any more worries about the country that raised him. He then followed Wang Zhuo to silently look at the Wang family descendants. Then in the ancestral home, Wang Lin saw Yu Er and her parents. Upon seeing Yu Er, it reminded Wang Lin of Donghua and Zhouru when they were kids. He felt melancholy at this moment. Wang Zhuo took Yu Er as a disciple and passed down cultivation methods to her. Before Wang Lin left, he took away the Ji realm from the jade in the ancestral home and replaced it with his divine sense. Wang Zhuo didn't return to the Tiandao sect but stayed with the Wang family in the capital. 200 years ago, he was placed into a pregnant woman in the Wang family. He had remained physically close to the Wang family in both his past and current lives, so his feelings for them were far stronger than Wang Lin's. He intended to dedicate his life to protect the Wang family descendants. The matter with the country of Zhao was finished. However, Wang Lin still had one lingering thought: the Hengyu sect. This was the sect that set him onto the path of cultivation. Before he left Zhao, he decided to look for them. He spread out his divine sense and all the various mountains and caves appeared in his mind. With a simple movement, his body disappeared. From memory, Wang Lin's figure appeared outside a mountain called Elephant Snake Mountain. Wang Lin looked around with a complex expression. There was a formation here. He didn't break the formation but instead went through it and entered the mountain. Inside was a large cave. When Wang Lin entered the cave, he saw a lot of dust. No one had lived here for a very long time. There were 3 ancient words carved on a large piece of jade in the main hall: Hengyu sect. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he wiped away the dust and silently stared at it for a very long time. Shortly after, Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and walked to the side. He broke the formation that was protecting a door and walked inside. And there were rows of shelves with jades on them that were releasing faint, ghostly lights. There was a corpse sitting in the lotus position in the corner. The bones were in pretty good condition, meaning that this person had clearly died due to old age. The corpse's right index finger was pointing at the ground. Wang Lin walked up, wiped away the dust on the ground, and saw the words that were carved there. The Hengyu sect died with me. I have wronged the ancestors. I have wronged the ancestors. Wang Lin pondered. He took a step back, respectfully bowed and said, "Disciple Wang Lin greets senior." After letting out a sigh, Wang Lin picked up the jades one by one and scanned them with his divine sense. When he picked up one jade, he suddenly stopped. This old man's talent is lacking, so my cultivation won't reach a high level, but I have a strange comprehension of swords. It is as if my life is for the sword. However, I don't know why, but whenever my divine sense enters a sword, the sword shatters after one breath of time. There are no exceptions. The word useless is a good way to describe this old man. Since I can't use my divine sense to control swords, I can't use swords in battle. I'm a disgrace to my teacher. When I was 80, I had a dream that I was a sword spirit that swept the land. I was a king amongst swords. After I awakened, the sword from my dream remained engraved in my mind as if that was my life's pursuit, as if that was my past life. I gave up on trying to break past the foundation establishment stage and focused on swordsmithing. This idea was so powerful that it felt like I was possessed. I was completely fixated on this. I had to create this sword. After a decade, this old man was even willing to beg for materials to create swords. I have created several swords, but none of them were what I wanted, so I gave up on them. This year, the Hengyu sect faced a great calamity because powerful enemies attacked us. So the sect was about to be destroyed. This old man was born in the Hengyu sect and would naturally die in the Hengyu sect. This old man opened up his furnace one last time to create a sword. I was short on time, so I gave up on precious materials and used mortal metals. Then I created a large sword. After creating the sword, I suddenly felt a sign from the heavens, so I coated the sword in gold and soon it was shining. Looking at the sword, the feelings I experienced in my dream suddenly came back to me. At that moment, I was back in my dream and I was this sword spirit. That was the feeling I had been looking for. I named the sword Wealth. Although this name isn't anything fancy, it was what I was feeling. My soul seemed to be completely merged with this sword. So I charged out and resolved the calamity for my Hengyu sect. Then as I left a sword technique inside the sword. I hope future disciples will treat the sword kindly. Wang Lin put down the jade and closed his eyes. He was shaking on the inside. Although the main reason he came was to see what had happened to the Hengyu sect, another reason was to find out more about Wealth. A sword spirit in his previous life. This sword is exactly the same as the celestial sword. Could this senior soul have contained a fragment of the celestial sword spirit? Wang Lin opened his eyes. His eyes were sparkling. He pondered a bit before his body disappeared and left this place. When he reappeared, he was outside the Juming Valley. This was where his bag of holding was destroyed. Back then he had to go into the spatial rift to find the sword sheath. After creating a spatial rift, Wang Lin entered it. This time his only target was Wealth. That sword was created from ordinary metals, so I don't know if it could have survived inside the spatial rift for 500 years. Also, I don't know if the sword was destroyed along with the bag. Unfortunately, my cultivation level wasn't even high enough to notice the sword technique inside the sword. Otherwise, Wang Lin let out a sigh as he spread out his divine sense. Half a month later, Wang Lin walked out from the spatial rift with a frown. He had found nothing. I'm afraid that the sword has already been destroyed. I must quickly return to the soul refining sect and find a lot of celestial jades to reach the soul transformation stage. With that, Wang Lin disappeared. When he reappeared, he was inside an ancient transfer array, and then he disappeared from Zhao. In a rank 4 cultivation country on the western side of planet Suzaku, this country had already been taken over by the Forsaken Immortal clan, and the cultivators of this country had become servants to the Forsaken Immortal clan. Someone wearing a straw hat was currently standing at the edge of the country. He was covered in a golden glow. Wang Lin, you finally came back. Senior already knows that you returned. I hope you don't disappoint him. This person slapped his bag of holding and a piece of jade appeared in his hand. You helped me kill Li Yuanfeng and sealed the country of Shuiyu. I, Zhou Wutai, have no way to repay you besides giving you this jade. This jade contains Lu Mei's domain that I used my life to obtain. I hope you can fulfill Senior's hope and devour Lu Mei's Dao heart, and then become the next Suzaku. He took one step and disappeared. In an ancient transfer array in the country of Pilu, a bright light flashed and Wang Lin walked out of it. He immediately flew into the air and charged toward the soul refining sect. Along the way, Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and saw many cultivators with very ugly expressions that only seemed to hide their worries. Even when they met someone they knew, they would just quickly reply to each other, and then head their own way. As Wang Lin flew, he suddenly frowned. More than 10 cultivators who had their divine senses linked in a mysterious way were sweeping the area. Among these 10 or so cultivators, 3 of them were at the soul formation stage and the rest were at the nascent soul stage. They weren't targeting anyone specifically but seemed to be checking every cultivator. When their scan came toward him, Wang Lin didn't have time to deal with them, so he took a step and dodged their divine senses. None of them noticed anything wrong, so they continued to sweep the area. Wang Lin's speed was very quick, so he arrived outside the soul refining sect shortly after. The sect protection formation was already activated. It formed a black cloud around the sect, and this cloud looked like it was filled with ghosts. Waves of screams would occasionally come from the cloud. This place looked very daunting, almost like it was the underworld. None of the cultivators of Pilu were willing to come near here, so they would always take a detour around this place. When Wang Lin saw the sect protection formation, he let out a sigh of relief. This meant that everything inside the sect was still safe. He activated the soul sealing technique and opened his mouth to spit out a strand of black gas that turned into the 30-foot-tall soul flag. Enter. Wang Lin pointed at the flag and it began to move. It quickly wrapped around Wang Lin and brought him through the formation. The moment the flag charged toward the black fog, the soul fragments made room to allow Wang Lin through. Then Wang Lin and the flag disappeared deep within the soul refining sect's formation. Soon after, the black cloud returned to normal. The passage that had opened up was quickly sealed. There weren't many changes since Wang Lin was last here, but there seemed to be even fewer disciples now. Only 10% of them were present. Looking at the distance of the 9 golden rings, only 3 remained. You have returned. An ancient voice came from the void. A blood ring suddenly appeared before Wang Lin, and then Du Tian walked out of it. Du Tian looked even older than before and his entire body was giving off a thick death aura. The current him looked so different from the last time Wang Lin had seen him. Senior you. Wang Lin's eyes became serious as he examined Du Tian. He let out a sigh as he saw that Du Tian's lifespan was almost at its end. You saw through it. It's no problem. I still have a few years of life left. I won't die too soon. Du Tian let out a laugh, and as he laughed, the death aura around him seemed to lessen. Not bad. In these short years, your cultivation level has increased a lot. You have already reached the point where you have to absorb celestial spiritual energy and refine your body. If you have a large amount of celestial jades, then it is only a matter of time before you reach the soul transformation stage. Du Tian took a closer look at Wang Lin. What he saw shocked him and made his eyes shine brightly. Wang Lin pondered a bit before asking, Does Senior have any celestial jades? Du Tian looked toward the sky and laughed. What a guy you are, Teng Niu. You came back to the soul refining sect only for celestial jades. If you had enough celestial jades, I'm afraid you wouldn't even have returned. Wang Lin faintly smiled and shook his head. I would still return for the 1 billion soul flag. Du Tian's eyes lit up. He looked at Wang Lin with an appreciative gaze and smiled. Good, the 1 billion soul flag is yours. My soul fragment will also be yours in a few years. Heck, even the entire soul refining sect is yours. If you don't like this place, you can give up on the soul refining sect here. But you have to remember how good I was to you, and you have to keep your promise. This old man only wants you to promise one thing, and that is to keep the 1 billion soul flag safe. As long as this soul flag is safe, then my soul refining sect still exists. This planet is too small to hold someone like you, Sang Niu. When you leave, you must find a place suitable for my soul refining sect to grow once more. You must also build 999 heaven-reaching towers to complete my soul refining sect's dream of becoming a rank 6 cultivation country. Listen well, Sang Niu. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. There was nothing free in this world, so if you wanted something, you would have to pay a price. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin agreed with Du Tian's words. He nodded and said, I can do it. Du Tian carefully looked at Wang Lin before letting out a sigh. He looked into the sky and thought, Senior apprentice brother, I have gambled everything on your prediction. I hope I won't lose everything on this bet. He took a deep breath, waved his sleeves and said, Follow me. With that, he led the way and Wang Lin followed closely behind. The two of them moved like lightning as they passed through the soul refining sect and arrived at the back mountain. Du Tian sent out a seal, causing the surroundings to tremble and a black vortex to suddenly appear. The vortex had black lightning coursing through it, and then a dangerous aura quickly spread from inside it. This is the forbidden area of my soul refining sect. Only those who have mastered the soul sealing technique are allowed in here, so bringing you here doesn't break the sect's law. After Du Tian finished speaking, he disappeared into the vortex. Wang Lin pondered a bit. Although his expression remained calm, he put up his guard as he carefully followed Du Tian inside. The moment he entered the vortex, he felt like he was entering a transfer array. His vision blurred, and when he could see clearly again, he was inside a cave. This cave wasn't very large. On the wall before him were more than 30 tablets made of celestial jade. These are tablets for all of the past soul transformation cultivators of the soul refining sect. Du Tian bowed to those tablets. Wang Lin also bowed. A hint of joy entered Du Tian's eyes and he faintly nodded. Then he walked to the side and pressed his hand on a wall. Shortly after, rumbling sounds came from all directions. Sang Niu, sit down in the lotus position. My soul refining sect doesn't have many celestial jades left. Although we had a lot saved up when we came over from Planet 4 Saints, after tens of thousands of years and more than 30 soul transformation cultivators, our supply has long been used up. The remaining jades are what my senior apprentice brother and I got from the celestial realm when we were young. I'm afraid that they aren't enough for you. However, you don't have to worry. Even if this isn't enough, I'll just bring you out to steal some. No matter what, you must reach the soul transformation stage soon. My soul refining sect has never worried about not having enough celestial jades because when someone is ready to reach the soul transformation stage, we just pick a sect and bring the 1 billion soul flag to steal what we need. If one sect isn't enough, we will visit 2 sects. If 2 aren't enough, then we will go to a 3rd sect. Sooner or later, we will get enough celestial jades. When I reached the soul transformation stage, my teacher took the 1 billion soul flag and stole from all of the sects in 3 rank 5 cultivation countries. As Du Tian spoke, there was pride in his eyes. Wang Lin could only bitterly smile after hearing this. He thought that the soul refining sect sure was tyrannical. The 1 billion soul flag was something even the Suzaku dreaded. With it, the soul refining sect could sweep the planet and no one would dare to stop them. No wonder they were able to produce so many soul transformation cultivators. All of the celestial jades they used were stolen from others. At this moment, the rumbling got even louder and the ground began to crack. Then 2 blocks of celestial jade, each one the size of a person, came up from underground. Rich celestial spiritual energy began to fill the area. Wang Lin took a closer look and found that the quality of these 2 celestial jades wasn't as good as the quality of his jades. However, they were simply massive, so they naturally contained more celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin took a deep breath and began to absorb the celestial spiritual energy. One piece of jade was in front of Wang Lin and the other was behind him. They both emitted rich celestial spiritual energy which he absorbed at an incredible pace. It was as if his body was a large vortex. The celestial spiritual energy coming from the celestial jades was so rich that it became a visible white line that connected the jades and Wang Lin. Du Tian, who was standing on the side, nodded. He slapped his bag of holding and took out 7 small white flags. He threw them out and the 7 white flags landed around Wang Lin. Strands of white gas came out from the white flags, linking them together to form an irregular shape. Du Tian pointed at the air and said, "Stand!" White lines came out from the lines connecting the white flags and completely surrounded Wang Lin. Zhang Niu, with this formation, the speed at which you can absorb and convert your spiritual energy will increase. This old man has never held back on you. An endless amount of celestial spiritual energy entered his body and his body constantly refined it, causing the spiritual energy inside him to change. Wang Lin gradually forgot about the passage of time and completely immersed himself in absorbing celestial spiritual energy and converting his spiritual energy. Throughout this process, he gained a deep understanding of celestial spiritual energy. Reaching the soul transformation stage means a change in quality for cultivators. Only by converting spiritual energy and controlling celestial spiritual energy can one truly be considered a powerhouse. Soul transformation cultivators can control celestial spiritual energy. So many treasures that use spiritual energy become useless because they can't withstand celestial spiritual energy. Similarly, there are some treasures that can't be activated with spiritual energy at all. They can only be activated by celestial spiritual energy. The celestial cracks began to appear on the 2 slabs of celestial jade. The cracks began to spread and then the jade slowly turned gray. On this day, the last strand of celestial spiritual energy was extracted from the celestial jade in front of Wang Lin. With a bang, the slab of jade collapsed into small pieces, forming a small hill of dust before him. At the same time, the celestial jade behind him also collapsed. Wang Lin's hair flowed in the air without any wind. The amount of celestial spiritual energy in his body was now countless times higher than before. A powerful aura began to spread from his body, knocking away the 7 white flags because they couldn't withstand it. Wang Lin slowly raised his head. When he stood up, his eyes released a golden light before calming down. "I've completed of the process." Wang Lin's eyes landed on Du Tian, who was sitting in the corner. Du Tian opened his eyes and smiled. "Good, now follow me while I take you to go steal some celestial jades. Although things are a mess due to the war, some war can't stop this tradition of my soul refining sect." Du Tian laughed as he ripped open the space before him, creating a black vortex that he walked into. Wang Lin let out a faint smile as he followed him into the vortex. When they reappeared, they were already in the sky outside of the soul refining sect. Du Tian had his hands behind his back as he flew forward riding on a cloud. As Wang Lin casually followed behind Du Tian, he felt how the celestial spiritual energy had changed his body. There wasn't much spiritual energy left in his body at the moment. A majority of it had been converted to celestial spiritual energy. However, he had to fill his body to the brim with celestial spiritual energy, so he still needed a large amount of celestial jades to reach the soul transformation stage. There was a swarm on the western side of Pilu. This was a land of death where you couldn't see a living person within a radius of 10,000 kilometers. This place was a haven for insects. There were a lot of poisonous insects living here that even some cultivators wouldn't dare to mess with. Here one could often see large swarms of insects moving around. They were the kings here. There were other types of beasts inside the swarm that were also poisonous. However, they couldn't match the insects, so they spent most of their time inside the swarm and would normally not come out. All of the cultivators in Pilu knew not to take a step into the swarm. It was not forbidden because it was dangerous, but because this land was the home of the demonic insect sect. The demonic insect sect was located in a swamp. The demonic insect sect was a very strange sect. Instead of having a main sect hall, its buildings and structures were scattered across the swamp. There were a few spots that were solid ground. It was in these spots that the disciples of the demonic insect sect lived. They lived in these scattered areas that were spread across the entire swamp. The disciples of the demonic insect sect didn't have much sense of camaraderie with each other. Their cultivation method was related to insects, so the large amount of poisonous insects in the swamp did make it more convenient for them. On this day, two figures appeared in the sky above the edge of the swamp. One of the two was old and the other was young. The old man was wearing a black robe, his hair was gray, and he was very skinny. He had his hands behind his back, his eyes were cold, and he exuded an aura that caused all of the insects to run away in terror. The person beside him was a young man. He was wearing white and had his hair casually flowing behind him. Although he wasn't handsome, he had this abnormal aura to him. His eyes were especially clear. One look from them could shake a person's heart. These two were Du Tian and Wang Lin. It was clear that Du Tian was very familiar with this place, because he led Wang Lin directly here. He looked at the swamp below him and sighed. Sang Niu, even though they are all hiding like rats, don't look down on the demonic insect sect members. Let me tell you that these people must all have been filthy rich in their previous lives. When my teacher brought me here, the amount of celestial jades we stole was more than 3 times what we took from the other sections. With that, he reached out to the void and the 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand. After grabbing the 1 billion soul flag, Du Tian's aura changed completely. He stared at the swamp below him and waved the flag. Countless soul fragments immediately flew out and covered the area. The sky changed colors and time seemed to have stopped. The entire area was surrounded by soul fragments which constantly let out ghostly wails. The sound waves of these wails spread across the entire swamp. They were no weaker than attacks from magic treasures. More than 10 golden purple soul fragments charged out with excitement in their eyes and rushed forward without any commands. All of the poisonous insects ran as if they had met their natural enemy. Du Tian's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Mice of the demonic insect sect, your grandfather Du Tian has come. The rule is the same as usual. Quickly hand over the celestial jades." After Wang Lin heard this, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Could there even have been some rule set for stealing celestial jades? Wang Lin didn't know that the soul refining sect was used to being this bossy. Back when Du Tian's master brought him here, his master said the same thing, and it was rumored that his master's master also said something similar. In short, there was indeed a rule to this. A few angry roars came from the swarm before 2 people flew out. The soul fragments tried to stop them, but they were all knocked back by their auras. However, the 2 of them knew what to do. They merely pushed the soul fragments back without injuring them. One was an old man who was wearing a purple robe and had 2 blood-red scorpions around him. He quickly shouted, "Old ghost Du Tian, there are no more celestial jades." The other person was an old woman wearing a palace dress. Although her face was filled with wrinkles, her eyes were bright. She coughed to cut off the purple-robed old man. Then she looked at Du Tian and said, "Old ghost Du Tian, we can't give you any celestial jades. When the Forsaken Immortal clan attacked, I was seriously injured and required a lot of celestial jades to finally recover. Considering the future, we can't give you any." Du Tian's eyes became serious and then his gaze landed on the old woman. He pointed at his forehead and the death aura he had been suppressing was released. He said with a hoarse voice, "Yan Hong, I have less than 2 years left to live." The old woman trembled and her expression changed slightly. The purple-robed old man's expression became ugly and he muttered, "You people of the soul refining sect are all crazy. When your lifespan is almost up, you take the 1 billion soul flag and steal celestial jades from people." Du Tian laughed and said, "That is correct. I only have less than 2 years left to live, so I naturally don't fear death. Give me celestial jades and I'll leave. If you don't give me any, I won't fight with you, but I'll wipe out all the poisonous insects in this swamp." The purple-robed old man laughed in anger and was about to speak when the old woman coughed and said, "Old ghost, why be like this? Not only can the 2 of us can wipe out your soul refining sect, this junior beside you will die for sure." Wang Lin let out a faint smile as his right hand pointed to the air, and the celestial sword flew out with a swing. Wang Lin used a strand of celestial spiritual energy in that swing. Although he hadn't reached the soul transformation stage, he could still use a bit of celestial spiritual energy. The celestial sword naturally needed celestial spiritual energy to be used. Once celestial spiritual energy was used, it released a blinding, golden light and exuded celestial pressure. The sword energy descended like lightning. The old woman's expression greatly changed as she reached for her bag of holding and took out a turtle shell to block the sword energy. Boom! A loud bang could be heard as the turtle shell turned to dust when it stopped the sword energy. The old woman's expression was very ugly. Even the purple-robed old man's expression was ugly as he stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin slowly asked, "Do you two still think I'll die for sure today?" The old woman said with a serious tone, "Who are you?" That sword energy just now contains celestial spiritual energy, but she wasn't surprised about that. She had already noticed that Wang Lin was at the step between the soul formation and soul transformation stages. She didn't consider this kind of cultivator a threat, but she could have never imagined that he would have a celestial treasure. No matter what quality, as long as a treasure uses spiritual energy, it's called a spirit treasure. At the same time, treasures that use celestial spiritual energy are called celestial treasures. The so-called celestial treasures are treasures that can withstand the power of celestial spiritual energy and perfectly display its power. This kind of treasure is very rare. The only thing most soul transformation cultivators want other than reaching the ascendant stage is to find a celestial treasure for themselves. Among soul transformation cultivators, having a celestial treasure and not having one is a huge difference. With a celestial treasure, one can use celestial spiritual energy to its full potential. But if one doesn't have one, they have to use it with their techniques, which are always weaker than treasures. In addition, there are some treasures that lie somewhere in between spirit and celestial treasures. They can be activated with both types of energy, and although they can't fully utilize the power of celestial spiritual energy, they are much more powerful than treasures that use spiritual energy. These types of treasures are called pseudo-celestial treasures. The 1 billion soul flag and restriction flag are considered pseudo-celestial treasures. Wang Lin smiled at the old woman's question and said, "I'm Tsung Niu." The old woman's expression changed. She looked at Wang Lin and said, "To kill Shui Yuzli Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor at only the soul formation stage. Today this old woman indeed can't kill you." The old woman let out a sigh. Although she was at the late stage of soul transformation and could easily kill Wang Lin, she had no chance of doing so with Du Tian present. After looking at the old man beside her, she let out another sigh in her heart. The purple-robed old man beside the woman had a gloomy expression on his face. He was at the early stage of soul transformation. He knew that he could have killed Li Yuanfeng without question, but against the giant demon clan ancestor, it would be very difficult to win. However, this young man before him managed to kill both. Although Wang Lin wasn't a soul transformation cultivator yet, he already saw Wang Lin as someone of the same cultivation level. Du Tian let out a laugh. He was very satisfied with Wang Lin's actions. People of the soul refining sect should be like this. Du Tian said, "Let's not waste any more time. According to the rules, give me half of your celestial jades." The old woman pondered a bit. She then looked at Du Tian for a bit before her eyes lit up and she said, "I can give you half our celestial jades, but with the battle with the Forsaken Immortal clan at hand, if my demonic insect sect is in danger, you must help us at once." Du Tian looked at the old woman and said, "That will depend on how many celestial jades you give me." The old woman bitterly smiled. She took out a bag of holding and threw it at Du Tian without even looking at it. She said, "This should satisfy you." Du Tian caught the bag. After he scanned it with his divine sense, his expression became strange. He looked at the old woman and said, "You people of the demonic insect sect really were filthy rich in the past. My master took so many celestial jades from you guys, but you still have this many. Did you guys find some way to gather them?" The old woman calmly said, "You don't need to know about this. Remember our agreement." With that, she flew off into the distance. The purple-robed elder looked at Wang Lin once more before clasping his hands at him and leaving. Just like this, Du Tian took Wang Lin across Pilu and stole a large number of celestial jades. Along the way, Wang Lin really got to see just how tyrannical Du Tian really was. Du Tian would take out the 1 billion soul flag and demand celestial jades. If they didn't give him any, he would release the soul fragments and use what little time he had left to mess with the sect. The soul refining sect's notoriety was well known. The other two sects of Pilu were really angry, but since the soul refining sect has always done this, they handed the celestial jades over in the end. Du Tian slapped his bag of holding and smiled at Wang Lin. See all of this? This is how my soul refining sect has acted for tens of thousands of years. When you own the 1 billion soul flag, you must do the same or else you'll drag down my soul refining sect's name. Although his body was filled with death aura, Wang Lin could sense some relief in Du Tian's heart. A long time ago, an ancestor of my soul refining sect wanted to reach the ascendant stage. The amount of celestial jades he needed was many times more than what you require. Finally, after sweeping the entire planet, he went to the country of Suzaku. With the 1 billion soul flag, even the ascendant cultivators wouldn't carelessly act against him. As a result, he was able to take celestial jades by force, Du Tian said. Wang Lin bitterly smiled. He could feel the headache that the ascendant cultivators of Suzaku back then had. Giving the celestial jades away made it feel like they were gifting someone free money. After all, every generation that held the 1 billion soul flag was a tyrant. Wang Lin secretly thought, I think I see how this soul refining sect went from a rank 5 cultivation country to only a sect now. However, that ancestor failed and still died in the end. In truth, I don't agree with his actions. Unless it is absolutely needed, it is better not to mess with ascendant cultivators. He would have been better off doing what we are doing right now. With this flag, we can go through a rank 5 cultivation country and steal from any sect we see. Even if we meet powerful cultivators of the Forsaken Immortal clan, it won't matter. Wang Lin bitterly smiled once more. Du Tian's tyrannical actions weren't limited to Pilu. In fact, Du Tian was fairly reserved in Pilu. After all, they were all neighbors, so he couldn't push them too far. However, the moment they left Pilu, Wang Lin finally got to see just how tyrannical Du Tian could be. In 3 months of time, Du Tian took Wang Lin across 4 rank 5 cultivation countries. When they left, it was like a locust swarm had gone by. Even some cultivation families were affected and had to hand over the few celestial jades they had. As for the sects, Du Tian didn't even say anything before taking out the 1 billion soul flag. The soul fragments would cover the sects and then more than 10 soul transformation soul fragments would come out. This was not an attack any sect in a rank 5 cultivation country could resist. Du Tian collected a large number of celestial jades and placed them in a bag of holding. In the 4th rank 5 cultivation country, Du Tian finally aroused a reaction from the local cultivators. 4 soul transformation cultivators banded together to attack Du Tian. This time, Wang Lin finally recognized just how strong the 1 billion soul flag was. Wang Lin didn't even have time to act before the 4 of them were beaten back. This was only because Du Tian didn't want to kill anyone. Otherwise, one of them would have definitely become another primary soul for the soul flag. With how tyrannical Du Tian was acting in the last 2 years of his life, Wang Lin had to take out his straw hat and use it to cover his appearance. This was to prevent all of the sects that they had stolen from looking for him in the future. For rank 5 cultivation countries, 13 sects, and more than 100 cultivation families. Counting the ones in Pilu, that is 16 sects in total. In these 3 months, Du Tian stole a large number of celestial jades from them. On this day, Du Tian stopped. Du Tian said to Wang Lin in a serious tone, "This many celestial jades should be enough for you to reach the soul transformation stage. Maybe there will even be some left over. In the future, if you want to raise your cultivation level, you will have to get your own celestial jades. Remember, in the cultivation world, especially for soul transformation cultivators, the only way to get celestial jades is to steal. No matter how many disciples you send to the celestial realm, you won't get enough celestial jades." Wang Lin nodded. He had no issues with stealing, but he didn't agree with Du Tian's methods. He believed that he should either take everything or not steal at all. Perhaps the process would be a lot more difficult, but the number of celestial jades in their possession would be more than double what they currently had. After obtaining enough celestial jades, Du Tian took Wang Lin and rushed back to the soul refining sect. He was going to protect Wang Lin so he could break through to the soul transformation stage safely. Du Tian let out a sigh and said, "Planet Suzaku is too small. When I was young, I left the planet once and went to Tianyuan. That planet is 10 times larger than planet Suzaku. There are a lot of sects there and naturally more celestial jades. If it wasn't for that fact I wasn't strong enough, it would have felt good to steal from the sects there. It is said that among the Cultivation Alliance, there are many rank 6 cultivation countries that organize raids to steal from other cultivation planets. Planet Tianyun. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Du Tian said that Tianyunzi on planet Tianyun has a very high cultivation level. It is said he even has a seat in the Cultivation Alliance. That is not something the small Zhu KZ can compare with. Wang Lin pondered a bit. Just as he was about to ask more, Du Tian's expression changed and he looked into the distance. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and turned his head. A black fog was closing in from the horizon and devouring clouds on the way. The black fog was so large that one couldn't see where it ended. A powerful aura of tattoo power slowly spread out. Forsaken Immortal Clan. Du Tian's eyes lit up. During their time together, Wang Lin had talked with Du Tian and learned that several years ago, the Immortal Forsaken Clan gathered a large amount of people and directly started their attack on the continent of Suzaku. Countless cultivators died during that battle. Some shamans from the Forsaken Immortal Clan who were as powerful as Ascendant cultivators fought with Zhu KZ and the other 2 Ascendant cultivators. This battle lasted for 3 years, and then the Forsaken Immortal Clan retreated. They took over the rank 3 cultivation countries and began this slow battle with the country of Suzaku. In this battle, 2 people rose above all others: Lu Mei and Qian Feng. Lu Mei, with her peerless beauty, had caught the eyes of all the young male cultivators. Her cultivation level was also very high. She was at the mid-stage of soul transformation. This made her even more eye-catching. The moment she appeared, she completely suppressed Red Butterfly's fame and became the new Heaven's daughter. It seemed like no one was paying attention to Red Butterfly anymore. What got everyone talking even more was that she was the personal disciple of the current Suzaku, and a candidate to become the next Suzaku. The moment she appeared, she caught several 7-leaf shamans. She was even able to capture an 8-leaf shaman who was as powerful as a late-stage soul transformation cultivator. As a result, her fame skyrocketed. There was one more thing about her that caught everyone's attention. The rumors went like this. She was kind and had a pure heart, yet was still able to reach this level of cultivation. She had never killed a person in her life. Even when she fought against the Forsaken Immortal Clan, she only captured them and didn't kill them. With all of these good qualities, she naturally caught everyone's attention. Whenever she appeared, all of the surrounding cultivators respectfully obeyed her orders. Even in battles that they were destined to lose, when she appeared, all of the cultivators present would regain their vigor, and then win the battle with her help. This woman was considered one of the twin geniuses of this generation. The other genius was Qian Feng. He was very handsome and had a dignified appearance. His cultivation level was also at the mid-stage of soul transformation. There was no trace of arrogance on him, and he was very morally upright, just, and mild-mannered. Qian Feng suddenly appeared in the 2nd year of the Forsaken Immortal Clan's attack. The moment he appeared, he immediately killed several powerful Forsaken Immortal Clan members and fought with the Forsaken Immortal Clan's junior master. All of this immediately shook the entire planet. The battle between the 2 of them was a battle between each side's next generation's leader. Although Qian Feng didn't win and the battle ended in a tie, his fame soared through the heavens. Only after this battle did everyone know that he was Lu Mei's senior apprentice brother, and a disciple of the current Suzaku. He was ranked 2nd under Lu Mei. In addition, he had another identity that caught everyone's attention. This person was the descendant of the previous generation's Suzaku. Qian Feng was like a bright moon in the battle against the Forsaken Immortal Clan. In the end, he signed an agreement with the junior master of the Forsaken Immortal Clan. The country of Suzaku handed over all rank 3 cultivation countries, so that the Forsaken Immortal Clan would suspend their attack. Du Tian's eyes lit up as he stared at the large black cloud coming in from the distance and said, in a deep tone, "The Forsaken Immortal Clan has started their 2nd attack. Zhang Niu, I can feel that a shaman as powerful as a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator is within that black cloud. As for whether there is an ascendant cultivator or not, I don't know. Bring out the sub-flag and we'll charge over." Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he looked at the black cloud. He reached out, causing the 1 billion soul sub-flag to appear. After he grabbed the flag, black fog came out of it and wrapped around Wang Lin. Du Tian also took out the 1 billion soul flag. With a wave, He wrapped himself in black fog as well and charged toward the black cloud with Wang Lin. As they traveled, they were surrounded by sonic booms and the wailing of soul fragments. Waves of roars suddenly came the black cloud as a large number of Forsaken Immortal clan members appeared charged out. At this moment, Du Tian and Wang Lin charged directly into the black cloud. Just as the Forsaken Immortal clan members were about to attack, a shout came from within the black cloud and the Forsaken Immortal clan members stopped and opened up a passage. A middle-aged man in a palace robe without any tattoos on his body walked out from the black cloud. Beside him followed a hunchbacked old man. The old man's expression was gloomy, and he would occasionally cough a few times. Wang Lin immediately recognized this old man as the person who had chased him into the spatial rift, and then was left trapped inside. The feud between the two of them was great, so if he recognized Wang Lin, he wouldn't give up until he died. However, Wang Lin was wearing the straw hat and was wrapped in the soul flag so that person couldn't recognize him. Soul refining sect, the middle-aged man whispered as his eyes lit up. He moved forward and blocked Du Tian and Wang Lin. You two from the soul refining sect stay. The middle-aged man smiled and waved his hand. Boom! A loud bang rang out. With just a simple wave, an invisible force suddenly appeared and trapped Du Tian and Wang Lin like they were in a cage. Wang Lin's expression slightly changed. Under this invisible force, he felt a very strong sense of danger. Nine-leaf shaman. Du Tian's voice came from inside the soul flag. However, the soul flag surrounding Du Tian released countless soul fragments, and then the 13 golden purple primary souls descended like gods. Du Tian shouted, "Charge!" The soul fragments suddenly became crazy as they charged in all directions. This was especially true for the 13 soul transformation soul fragments. All of the Forsaken Immortal clan members under soul transformation level strength died in just one touch from the 13 fragments. The middle-aged man frowned. He had just reached the 9-leaf stage, so he was equal to an early stage ascendant cultivator. However, he had never seen the terrifying power of the 1 billion soul flag. He had only read about it in the records of the war tens of thousands of years ago, and knew that it was the weapon that the Forsaken Immortal clan dread the most. Now that he saw it, his expression darkened. He waved his hand, causing the black cloud to back off. The Forsaken Immortal clan members inside the cloud created an opening in the middle. Du Tian laughed as he brought Wang Lin to charge out of the black cloud and into the distance. Mu Yi, you bring the clan members to meet up with Junior Master. I'm going to test the power of the 1 billion soul flag, the middle-aged man commanded, before chasing after Du Tian. The hunchbacked old man nodded as he led the clan members to reform the black cloud. When they finished, they continued to move forward. Du Tian flew away and then suddenly paused. The 9-leaf shaman is following us. Sang Niu, watch carefully and see why ascendant cultivators fear the 1 billion soul flag. As Du Tian spoke, he turned around to face the Forsaken Immortal clan member. A rainbow arched across the sky and arrived before him. It was the middle-aged man. Du Tian didn't waste time talking. His hand formed a seal and he spat out some blood. 500 million souls and 13 primary souls appear. The sky suddenly darkened as if the entire sky was covered by something and the earth became hell. An endless amount of wailing from the soul fragments began to echo around them. The soul fragments flew out of the soul flag one by one, covering the entire area. The 13 golden purple soul fragments stared at the middle-aged man that had appeared. Watch carefully. This is the proper way to use the soul flag. 13 soul formation. Du Tian shouted as the black fog surrounding him turned back into the 30-foot flag. Then he waved it. The 500 million soul fragments began to move in a mysterious manner around the 13 primary souls, and formed a large formation that surrounded Wang Lin, Du Tian, and the middle-aged man. Even with Wang Lin's understanding of formations, he was only able to see through bits of it and couldn't study it in detail. Soul refining, Du Tian shouted as he reached out. The formation suddenly trembled as all of the soul fragments let out a unified sound. This sound was like some kind of spell. Shortly after, a black aura came out from amidst the soul fragments and formed a giant hand. This giant hand was doing the same thing Du Tian was doing. It was as if it was his avatar. As Du Tian reached out, a white figure appeared around the middle-aged man. It was his soul. At this moment, the giant hand descended. The middle-aged man's eyes lit up. He didn't use any treasure as he pointed at the air and said one word, "Stop!" With a bang, the large hand suddenly stopped and remained motionless. The middle-aged man extended his arm, and then 5 different colored lights gathered in his hand. Cauldron! The 5 lights immediately shattered and formed 5 cauldrons around the middle-aged man. Then he muttered, "Refine!" The 5 large cauldrons trembled as strange tattoos appeared around them. The tattoos flashed as they rotated around the cauldrons. The 5 large cauldrons formed 5 large vortexes inside the formation. An ancient aura filled the formation, and then some of the soul fragments were pulled into the vortexes. Du Tian's expression remained calm as he said, "You are indeed a 9-leaf shaman, and you have some skill. 13 primary souls, gather." The formation suddenly changed again as the 500 million soul fragments gathered toward the 13 primary souls. Then the 13 primary souls started to become solid. The 500 million soul fragments fused with the 13 primary souls, giving them each the power of a late-stage soul transformation cultivator. They even had celestial spiritual energy inside their bodies. This time the middle-aged man's expression finally changed. Du Tian's eyes were cold as he said, "It's not over yet." 13 primary souls fused into one. The 13 primary souls suddenly moved, creating countless afterimages. When the afterimages disappeared, the souls had fused into one. 500 million soul fragments and 13 primary souls refined into one soul. The moment this soul appeared, the sky changed colors. Ascendant! The middle-aged man sucked in a breath of cold air. All of the primary souls in the 1 billion soul flag were soul transformation ancestors of the soul refining sect. The one regret they all had was being unable to reach the ascendant stage. They couldn't achieve it when they were alive, and this desire grew stronger in their death. In the end, the desire of all the soul fragments allowed them to fuse and create a power that matched an ascendant cultivator. This wasn't even the full power of the 1 billion soul flag, only a part of it. This power was enough to fight against early-stage ascendant cultivators, but was no match for late-stage ascendant cultivators like the current Suzaku. What the current Suzaku was really scared of was the power of all 36 primary souls, especially the 4th one. Du Tian stared at the middle-aged man and coldly said, "Scram! I won't kill you today. My soul refining sect won't participate in the war between you and the country of Suzaku." The middle-aged man's expression was very dark and the anger in his heart grew. With his cultivation level, if Du Tian didn't have the 1 billion soul flag, he could have easily killed Du Tian already. He stared at Du Tian as he pondered. After a bit he said, "Just this kind of power isn't enough to threaten me. Could the 1 billion soul flag only have this kind of power?" Du Tian laughed as his eyes lit up and said, "10 primary souls appear." He waved the soul flag in his hand and then 10 more soul transformation primary souls flew out. This time the middle-aged man bitterly smiled. At this moment, he finally understood why his clan dreaded the 1 billion soul flag so much. The middle-aged man said, "Since the soul refining sect is not going to participate in the war, then I'll speak for the Forsaken Immortal clan and promise that we won't even take a single step into the soul refining sect." With that, he clasped his hands at Du Tian and carefully left. Du Tian waved the soul flag to retrieve all the soul fragments and quickly left with Wang Lin. 1 billion soul flag. After witnessing what had just happened, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with passion. The world was large and with that flag he could go anywhere. With arrogance in his voice Du Tian said, "This is the power of my soul refining sect's 1 billion soul flag. What do you think?" Wang Lin replied, "Very powerful." Du Tian laughed and said, "There isn't really a proper way to use the soul flag. For example, the 6th generation ancestor was good with formations, so he used it to create formations." As Du Tian rushed back to Pilu, he told Wang Lin more about the 1 billion soul flag. The 10th generation ancestor's domain was Devour, so he used the soul flag to devour souls to make himself stronger against enemies. However, the one skill that the 1 billion soul flag always has is fusion. The ascendant soul you saw was created by fusion. Although it can't last forever, it can fight against an ascendant cultivator for 1 incense stick of time. However, none of these are the flag's real aces. What can really threaten ascendant cultivators is the 4th primary soul. In tens of thousands of years, the fourth soul has only appeared once. When that happened, my sex's last early-stage ascendant ancestor was fighting together with the second-generation Suzaku against 4 late-stage ascendant cultivators from other planets. While stealing celestial jades was the main reason they came out, Du Tian also wanted to teach Wang Lin about the 1 billion soul flag so that he can better control it 2 years from now. Du Tian didn't hold anything back from Wang Lin. He treated Wang Lin like a real direct disciple. These secrets about the soul flag were normally only passed down from master to disciple. Although Du Tian and Wang Lin were not officially master and disciple, their relationship was similar to that. Wang Lin's eyes became serious as he asked, "Together with the second-generation Suzaku?" Du Tian nodded. After beating the Forsaken Immortal clan, the first-generation Suzaku sacrificed himself along with several late-stage ascendant cultivators to seal the Forsaken Immortal clan. Then he appointed someone as the second-generation Suzaku. This person was very talented and outstanding, very different from all the future Suzakus after him. He didn't suppress any rank 5 cultivation countries, and while he only ruled for a short 1,000 years, he had a higher cultivation level than every Suzaku that came after. It is said that he was already one step into the realm after Ascendant, and was only half a step from the next step. This person was no doubt the #1 expert in the history of planet Suzaku. After hearing this, Wang Lin's heart trembled. He thought about the one thing that Situ Nan had always said, which was that he was the #1 expert of planet Suzaku. What was his name? Du Tian shook his head. It has been far too long for anyone to still remember his name. We only remember him as the second-generation Suzaku. Maybe the current Suzaku knows. Wang Lin continued to ask, "What happened to him in the end?" Du Tian slowly said, "His whereabouts are unknown." Du Tian sighed and continued, "It is rumored that the battle against those foreign cultivators wasn't any less intense than the battle against the Forsaken Immortal clan's ancestral spirit. In the end, my soul-refining sex ancestor wasn't a match. After all, he was only an early-stage ascendant cultivator. He used the fourth soul to get out alive and killed one of the foreign cultivators. However, the fourth soul took heavy damage and has been in deep sleep ever since. According to my calculations, it should have almost fully recovered by now. Although the battle was won, the second-generation Suzaku was hunted down by the foreign cultivators and disappeared." Wang Lin's heart trembled. He remembered when Situ Nan told him that he fought against some foreign cultivators. Eventually, his body was destroyed by them, but his nascent soul escaped into the heaven-defying bead, and then his life was saved. Situ Nan's hatred for those people could only be considered monstrous. According to Du Tian's story, the second-generation Suzaku's fate was very similar to Situ Nan's. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes lit up. He had a grudge against the current Suzaku. If Situ were to awaken, would he help the current Suzaku? Du Tian looked at Wang Lin and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Wang Lin pondered a bit and asked, "With the war between the Forsaken Immortal clan and the country of Suzaku going on right now, if the second-generation Suzaku was still alive, would he help the current Suzaku?" Du Tian laughed and shook his head. "Let's not count on the possibility of the second-generation Suzaku being alive, but if he was, he wouldn't help the current generation Suzaku because there is no connection between them. It is rumored that the second-generation Suzaku was very arrogant. If it wasn't for the fact that he owed the first-generation Suzaku, he would have already left the planet to hone himself elsewhere." Wang Lin nodded. His eyes lit up and he asked, "How many generations of Suzakus have there been?" Du Tian snorted and said, "The current Suzaku is the 14th generation, and the one I hate the most." Wang Lin pondered a bit before suddenly asking, "Senior, the Forsaken Immortal Ancestral Spirit you talked about earlier. What is that?" Du Tian shook his head and said, "I don't know what it is either, and I have only seen the records from the sect. Back then, during the big war with the Forsaken Immortal clan, this ancestral spirit appeared and caused a large amount of ascendant cultivators to die. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. The continent of Suzaku is close. Let us hurry so you can reach the soul transformation stage." With that, Du Tian suddenly sped up. In these few short months, Du Tian took Wang Lin across almost half of the planet. Now they could see the continent of Suzaku appearing before them. That's right, the ancestor recorded one of the names of the 4 foreign cultivators. That person said that he was from planet 5 elements and was called Na Duan. Na Duo appears in chapter 248. Yes, that should be correct. Once we go back, I'll give you the jade with the records. Na Duo. Wang Lin's body trembled. What is wrong with you? Du Tian turned toward Wang Lin and looked at him with a questioning gaze. Wang Lin took a deep breath and said, I have met this Na Duo. Du Tian was startled. His eyes lit up and he asked, You've met Na Duo? Wang Lin told Du Tian about the matter regarding Na Duo. Interesting. An old monster that has lived for tens of thousands of years must have broken past the ascendant stage and touched the next step. Otherwise, it would be impossible to live until now. The two of them flew very fast across the sky and soon arrived in the northern part of the Suzaku continent. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes became serious. Du Tian seemed to have noticed even earlier, because he grabbed Wang Lin and backed up. A green light screen had appeared on the edge of the continent of Suzaku, and it covered the entire continent. The Suzaku Formation. Du Tian's expression was ugly. The Suzaku Formation was the most powerful formation on the planet. It could be big or small, but when used at full power, it could cover the planet to protect it from foreign cultivators or beasts that lived in the void. At its smallest, it could shield just one person and be extremely powerful. It looks like the country of Suzaku is very determined to win against the Forsaken Immortal clan. The amount of spirit stones required to activate the Suzaku Formation is beyond imagination, and a lot of celestial jades are required to use its power. Enough to match a late-stage ascendant cultivator. Du Tian's eyes lit up and he pointed forward. A strand of black gas came out from his finger and landed on the green light screen. The moment the black gas got close, the green light screen trembled and formed a green fist that punched the black gas. Boom! After a loud bang, the black gas disappeared and the fist returned to the green light screen. Du Tian sneered. It even contains the blood of the giant demon clan. So the formation has the power of the giant demon clan bloodline. You shouldn't have left so much trouble behind when you went to the giant demon clan. If I had gone personally, I would have killed them all to prevent any retaliation in the future. When the Forsaken Immortal clan attacked, the Suzaku's second disciple, Qianfeng, went to the giant demon clan, unsealed them, and moved them all to the country of Suzaku. I was wondering why the country of Suzaku was being so generous, but it seems they were after the giant demon clan's blood. With this much giant demon clan blood, this formation contains some power from their bloodline power. Wang Lin remained silent. With Qihu there was no way he could have killed them all. Du Tian's eyes became cold as he stared at the Suzaku Formation and shouted, The Suzaku Formation has surrounded the entire continent. There must be someone controlling the formation every 5,000 kilometers. Come out for this old man or else I'm going to make an opening before the Forsaken Immortal clan even arrives. This old man's patience has limits. I will only give you 3 breaths of time. 2 breaths later, a figure appeared inside the green light screen. This person had long hair, wore a white robe and was very handsome, but he exuded a hint of evil. Overall, he gave off a mysterious charm. This person let out a smile and said, Senior, please don't be angry. Since you asked Junior to come out, Junior will come out. Du Tian coldly said, Open the formation. As you've ordered. The evil-looking young man raised his hand and pointed at the green light screen. A hole opened up and Du Tian snorted as he entered the continent of Suzaku. Wang Lin closely followed. However, just at this moment, the evil-looking young man's eyes lit up and he waved his hand, causing the green light screen to close. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He was stuck outside. Junior, you are courting death. Du Tian's eyes became cold as he looked at the evil-looking young man. This person didn't show any fear as he let out a gentle smile and said, Senior, please don't be angry. I just want to fight with fellow cultivator Tengyou who shook the entire planet. Tengyou, do you dare to fight with me? The evil-looking young man looked at Wang Lin, who was outside the green light screen. Who are you? Wang Lin frowned. Fellow cultivator Tengyou, although it is the first time we meet, I know a lot about you. My concubine Red Butterfly just can't stop thinking about you. The evil-looking young man let out a smile. Qianfeng. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The evil-looking young man gently nodded and said, I didn't think Brother Tseng knew my name. I believe it was my mischievous junior apprentice sister that told you. She must have said a lot of bad things about me. With a cold voice, Dutan said, "Enough. Qianfeng, open the formation. I don't have time to waste with you. If you don't open it now, you will stay here forever." Qianfeng laughed. "Senior, I don't have any ill intent. Could it be that the successor Senior chose doesn't even have the guts to fight with me? Senior can rest assured. I won't use any killing moves, we will only be sparing." Du Tian sneered. He raised his hand and was about to use a spell when Wang Lin said, "Okay, I'll fight with you." Qianfeng's eyes lit up. He let out a laugh as he walked out of the green light screen. He stopped 10 feet away from Wang Lin and smiled. "Good. No wonder Brother Tseng is someone who killed Li Yuanfeng and the giant demon clan ancestor." Wang Lin didn't waste words with this person. The moment Qianfeng walked out, Wang Lin took out his celestial sword, activated his celestial spiritual energy, and slashed down on Qianfeng, cutting his sentence short. Although this was the first time Wang Lin had met Qianfeng, he had no good feelings toward him. The first move Wang Lin made was with 120% of his power. This slice was clean and as fast as lightning. Qianfeng's eyes became cold. He didn't use any treasure but pointed at the air before him. Bang! A loud bang echoed in the sky. This slice from Wang Lin contained celestial spiritual energy, making the celestial sword several times more powerful than before. This move also contained all of the celestial spiritual energy Wang Lin could use at once, so its power was astonishing. Qianfeng was forced back 1,000 feet before he could get rid of the force from the celestial sword. His expression was no longer calm. His eyes were cold and glowing as he stared at Wang Lin's celestial sword. Celestial treasure. His right index finger was trembling as a stream of blood dripped down from its tip. His entire right arm was also completely numb. Qianfeng didn't expect Wang Lin to attack with full power on the first strike. After pushing Qianfeng back with one slash, Wang Lin opened his mouth to spit out a ray of black light. He caught it in his hand and it turned into the 1 billion soul flag. With a wave, all of the soul fragments flew out. Wang Lin knew that he couldn't win against Qianfeng. After all, Qianfeng was at the mid-stage of soul transformation. The only way to approach this was to act first and attack Qianfeng so fast that he wouldn't know how to react. The moment the soul fragments appeared, Wang Lin quickly said, "Devour!" There were 12 primary souls among the countless soul fragments. They let out dark smiles as they pounced toward Qianfeng. From the moment Qianfeng walked out of the green light screen to being surrounded by the countless soul fragments, it all happened in very quickly. So fast in fact that Qianfeng felt like he didn't know what to do. After all, he didn't understand Wang Lin and had been looking down upon him in his heart. Otherwise, with his cultivation level, there was no way he would give Wang Lin the chance to use the soul flag. And from his point of view, Wang Lin was simply too despicable. With his status, no matter who he faced, the opponent would at least talk with him for a bit before starting the fight. However, this Wang Lin unexpectedly cut him off and attacked him the moment he came out. This type of action was no different from a sneak attack. Even back when he fought against the Forsaken Immortal Clan's junior master, he wasn't in such an embarrassing position. This scene made Du Tian very happy. He began to laugh out loud and thought, "This Tseng Niu really has the essence of my soul refining sect. If one is going to act, then one must take the best opportunity." At this moment, Qianfeng was surrounded by the 1 billion soul subflag. The countless soul fragments created a powerful pressure, especially the 12 primary soul, which were very dangerous to him. The gentleness disappeared from Qianfeng's face and was replaced with a trace of hostility. He slapped his bag of holding and a fiery red all came out. "Suzaku all." Du Tian frowned. He thought that the current Suzaku was really spoiling this Qianfeng, or else he wouldn't have given Qianfeng this kind of treasure. Du Tian sent out a voice transmission. "Teng Niu, that treasure belongs to Zhu. It is considered a pseudo-celestial treasure, so it's very powerful." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was a very decisive person, so at this moment, his eyes became cold as he said, "Explode!" With one word, 100 million soul fragments immediately exploded. Boom! 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 The explosion of 100 million soul fragments created a destructive force beyond imagination, causing Qianfeng's expression to change greatly. Without any hesitation, he put away the awl and sat down in the lotus position. The entire Suzaku formation flickered and disappeared before reappearing in front of Qian Feng. Right now his body was emitting a powerful green light. A powerful vortex then came out of his body and absorbed all of the force from the explosion. The powerful impact from the 100 million souls exploding caused the green light to tremble violently, and Qian Feng, who was inside, coughed out a mouthful of blood. Wang Lin secretly sighed as he waved his hand and called back the 12 primary souls. Now that the Suzaku formation was gone, he calmly entered the continent and stood beside Du Tian. After the 12 primary souls returned, Wang Lin's 1 billion soul subflag turned into a strand of black gas and exited his origin soul. It went back to Du Tian and returned to the real 1 billion soul flag. Wang Lin's subflag's 2 uses were up. Du Tian's eyes became cold. He raised his hand and then lowered it. Right now he couldn't kill Qian Feng as he had the Suzaku formation around him. Unless he used the 4th soul, there was no way to break the Suzaku formation that was now only protecting one person. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. It was as if the battle earlier had never taken place. After 3 breaths of time, the green light screen disappeared and Qian Feng walked out of it with a gloomy expression. He stared at Wang Lin with anger and frustration on his face. However, he immediately suppressed his emotions. After taking a deep breath, the gentle expression returned to his face. He said, "Brother Tseng sure has some skill. I have learned much from this." Wang Lin calmly said, "No problem." His gaze paused at the forest not far away. Then he let out a sigh and flew toward the soul refining sect. Du Tian let out a mischievous smile as he looked at Qian Feng. Then he casually scanned the forest not far away before disappearing toward the soul refining sect. The anger in Qian Feng's eyes returned. He clenched his fists as he stared at where Wang Lin went and shouted, "Red butterfly, come out." A person wearing a red dress walked out. She was very beautiful and graceful. However, her eyes were filled with confusion and loss as if she were a puppet without a soul. When Red Butterfly arrived beside Qian Feng, he suddenly turned around and pointed at Red Butterfly's forehead. Her face immediately became deathly pale as her life force was quickly drained. Qian Feng had the opposite reaction. His face became red. All of the injuries he had suffered earlier quickly recovered, and in the blink of an eye he was fully healed. He withdrew his hand and looked at the wound on his finger. There was still blood coming out of that wound. "Lick it clean." Qian Feng raised his finger next to Red Butterfly. Red Butterfly opened her small mouth, put Qian Feng's finger into her mouth, and gently licked it with her tongue. Qian Feng didn't even look at Red Butterfly but continued to stare at where Wang Lin disappeared to and muttered to himself, "Wang Lin, you dare to hurt me? You are dead." Teacher is getting old and confused. Why else would he have sent Junior Apprentice Sister to go take your Dao heart? Your domain is mine, and Junior Apprentice Sister's domain is mine too. Even Teacher's domain, if I can find a way, I will devour it too. This Zhangniu soul flag is too powerful. That old man Du Tian is also getting old, but instead of giving it to the country of Suzaku, he is giving it to Zhangniu. However, the soul flag has already